Uh-oh, it looks like we piqued your interest in the Hideout. First of all, let me tell you what the Hideout is not. The Hideout is not for hustlers, for grinders, or for people who are looking for a shortcut to what the world calls success. The Hideout is about growing as men, creating lifelong friendships, and having the time of our lives. Are you ready to tap in to the endless source that will take you from success to significance? The Hideout is 2.5 days of hiking, biking, and doing the little things that it takes to create lifelong friendships. I find that joy is nothing more than falling in love with your current circumstances and allowing magic to happen. And that's when we see growth in every area of your life. Have you accomplished your goals professionally and financially, and you still thirst for something more? Has success in these areas come at the expense of far more valuable things, like your family, your children, and your relationships? Alignment in business, strategic partnerships, and joint ventures all come from true relationships. The Hideout is designed to get to know people before you'll ever meet them. This is not your typical mastermind. The Hideout is focused on the one thing that will fuel everything: joy. And when joy is overflowing in your life, you'll find growth in your marriage, your relationships, and oh yeah, your business. Welcome to the Kelly Cardenas podcast, where attitude is everything. On today's show, I'm so excited to be able to talk with this man because I was able to say his name right the first time. This man is incredible. He is helping people all over the world to simplify their lives, to be able to scale at an amazing rate. And I wish that I would have had this man around me when I first started my company. I just got a chance to be on his podcast recently, and what I was saying is, after 17 years as an entrepreneur, I wish that 17 years ago someone would have said, hey, you need to meet Pavel. Pavel can change your life. Everything will change if you just listen to what this guy is talking about. And so it's my pleasure to have him on the show, the founder and CEO of Virtudesk. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Pavel Stepanov.
Thanks for having me, Kelly. Appreciate it.
Oh,
nice intro.
It's a pleasure to have you, man. I want to say to everyone out there, listen, I got to do this first, Pavel. I absolutely love you, but I love my daughter more. Her name is McKenna. And until this musical happens, what I'm going to tell people is, my daughter goes to Aviara Oaks Middle School. There is a link. There will be a link in the bio. She's doing a musical. We're going to fund that musical. And I want every single person out there that's been riding with us with the podcast, there's a link. You could donate, and we are going to donate, and we are going to raise. Now we got the target. I believe we need to do $32,000, and we're going to be able to have her to be able to be in a musical and have a phenomenal experience there in 8th grade. She found her thing. So that's my daughter, McKenna. That's the commercial. I don't ask for much, but I am asking for that. So, Pavel, let's jump right. Let's jump right into this, Pavel. Like, why is it so important for you to help people to make their life so simple through what it is that you're doing?
Well, because everybody has 24 hours in a day, and it doesn't really matter if you're a billionaire, if you're a homeless person. You only have 24 hours in the day, and it really matters how you use that. And when you're, let's say, a business owner, you're running a company, you're running a business, having that amount of time, you cannot buy more time, and nobody can buy more time, but you can leverage your time by actually, hiring people to do your job or to do the job that, needs to be done, and outsource some of the tasks that are like menial and some of the tasks that can be handled by somebody else. So it is important for me to show people that there's more to life than just working, more to life than just doing menial tasks, and more to life than just basically, spending time on tasks that, doesn't cost that much,
So Pavel, yeah. when you have a vision like you do, which is grand, right? I mean, it's massive. There's always going to be the people that are like, you know what, it won't work because of X. It won't work because of X. Can you talk to the people out there, especially the CEOs and the founders, because you are one, I am one, and the hardest thing for a CEO or a founder to do is to release things, and that is your whole platform. It's like, release the things that you're not great at, or maybe you don't are taking up too much of your time, and focus on the things that you are great at, and imagine how much. But can you talk to that person that says, I'm a CEO, like I'm the founder. It'll never be done the way I want it unless I do it personally.
Well, a good example, what I usually bring up to people and the CEOs who like to think that way. Well, imagine if Howard Schultz, was serving lattes. You don't see CEO of Starbucks preparing coffee, preparing lattes and selling them, right? I mean, I don't know if he knows how to do them. He probably does. Same thing. You don't see CEOs of big companies, big corporations, actually getting involved in operations or actually getting involved in production or sales. This is all done by people. You can basically replicate any company, any successful company, and run it the same way. Why? Because they have systems in place. So what's important is, and that's what I'm usually tell people, because we work with a lot of real estate agents, and the same mentality they have. They say, "Oh, nobody will do it better than me. People love me." No, people don't love you. They love how you treat them. They love how you handle your stuff. They love how you run your business. That's what they love. So once you actually able to replicate that and teach your employees to do the same, that's what they're going to love. They're going to love the systems you created, not you personally. So maybe a little bit of disappointing news to some, but that's what it is.
So Pavel, when did you come to this epiphany? Because I mean, you're a young guy. I look at you, man. You're handsome too. I want. Hey, you're young, man. And so, you're a handsome guy. You're a young guy. I mean, how is it that you were able to adopt? Because a lot of times people, I think it's 6 words. I'm going to get, people are going to fact check me on this. We have always done it that way is the killer of most companies. And
it is. Yeah.
You're saying, let's flip this thing on its head. Let's take one person and leverage them into 15 people. And then let's be able to grow. But when you grow, you don't lose the heart. That's the part that I love so much. So where did this come from? Like, talk to us about the beginning.
Well, the beginning of my realization that nobody can, like, the things like nobody can do it better than me is a false assumption. Started when I was actually running a real estate company, and I was hiring agents, and I also had clients who I worked with as a realtor myself. And when I was running out of time and I couldn't really serve everybody, I actually trained my agents to help my my clients. And clients loved it because, again, I trained agents to do this exactly things the way I like things to be done. So, and that's what I kind of realized, that, hey, listen, they don't love me, they love how I do things. So anybody can do it. Also, that's when the idea for the Virtudesk was actually, was born, because again, we had agents in the brokerage. I ran like a 15 people brokerage, and I was using a virtual assistant for my own stuff. And when the agents were saying, "Hey, listen, I mean, can you help me get somebody like that?" I said, "Well, listen, I can help you get somebody like that, but you have to train this person to do things exactly the way you want it to be, because." And again, this is the same thing. We go back to Starbucks. Starbucks, if you travel across the world, it tastes the same everywhere. It tastes the same everywhere. Doesn't matter. You go to Moscow, you go to Rome, you go to, Bangladesh. It's the same. Why? Because they have the systems in place, the recipe. They have the same uniform. They have the same culture. That's what's that's what's important. They breed that culture that that they're known for. And any company that's trying to make it big, culture is a very important aspect that people should pay attention to, because that's what actually floats the boat. That's what makes the airplane fly, basically, in a sense.
And Pavel, let's talk about culture, because you started down that road, and I want to explore this. And I want to go deeper into this, because let's talk about the culture that you grew up in, right? Because most of my friends who grew up outside of America almost have, like in my head when I watch them, they almost have a different permission to go out and build something from nothing. Can
Yeah.
you talk to that a little bit and what advantages you had growing up outside of this country?
Well, again, growing up outside of this country kind of, makes you, and again, it's just like, let me just backtrack a little bit. It's a little bit of a different perception that people think, oh, okay, people who grew up outside of America, in America, they make it big, they make it, they become very successful because, America is a country of opportunities, which it is. However, not everybody who grew up outside of America can do it because people who made outside their country make it to America, usually a certain breed of people. The immigrant mentality, because we had to go through a lot of things. We had to jump through a lot of things to actually be here on the shores of this beautiful country. So, like I know a lot of people in many countries who don't have those ambitions. So I guess it takes a ambition of a person to come here to the United States to start something here, to learn the language they don't speak, and to be able to prosper in this environment. So I think it's not exactly like people who are born outside of the country able to do it, but the people of a certain breed, certain mindset. That's what I think it is. And being an immigrant kind of, um, structures your mindset to be of a certain way. That's just my take on it.
Well, talk to us too about where did that mentality come from? Where did that mindset come from? Was it from the family and from the parents? Were your parents telling you over and over again that, hey, Pavel, whatever you put your mind to, you can go at and you can do? Or was it what was the upbringing of Pavel? Take us back there.
Yeah, well, my mom was basically saying, no, you should just get a job and get working somebody. You shouldn't be doing it. But again, I attribute a lot of it to my grandma, who was basically raising me. My grandma was putting that mindset to me, like, say, you want to do this, you do it. You go with it. What's the worst that can happen? You know, and that's the thing. That's the kind of mindset. Okay, what's the worst that can happen if I take this step and do something? Okay, if I don't take the step, well, nothing's gonna happen. Okay, I mean, if you don't ask, the answer is always gonna be no. So that's kind of a mindset that my grandma kind of instilled into me, that kind of, I guess, helped me to always, go out there and do things and ask things, and basically not to be afraid to hear a no. And going back to when I was running a real estate company, we did the call hours with the agents, and a lot of real estate agents are afraid to make, or any salespeople for that matter, afraid to make cold calls because they're afraid to hear no.
Mm.
And the way we did that, we were saying, okay, how about this? We're not going to be collecting yeses. We're going to be collecting no's. At the end of the night, the person who gets the most no's wins the contest. And that totally turned the switch in their heads, because they were not being afraid to ask and and basically told to F off. They were collecting no's. At the same time, once that um, fear fear of rejection goes away, they actually be more productive on getting yeses. So that's what we're doing. And I guess this it all comes to, the way you think, the way you see things, the way you look at things, the way you actually, the perception that you have.
So Pavel, what advantages do you see? Because, like, say for instance, when I got into the professional beauty industry when I was 19 years old, okay, I was in it for 29 years. I've shifted out of that, but when I went into it, I looked around and I saw so much advantage because most of the people just didn't even want to show up. And I was thinking, like, I don't even have to be good. I just got to show up. And what I realized recently, especially post-pandemic, was to get a job or to advance, you literally just had to show up. And then I found that the simple part was to smile and be kind to people was not something that the parents taught the kids. From your standpoint of coming from Russia and you having that foundation of your grandma, what were some of the things that you looked at and said, wow, this is like shooting fish in a barrel?
Well, I frankly don't know what to say because I never thought about it this way, which you just presented, but I think big part of it is that, when you grow up in a country where you're limited in so many respects by, first by the government, then by the economic conditions, but then by the other things. When you come to the country like United States, where it's pretty much open ground for anything, and everything is in your hands. You can become a multi-billionaire in this country. Okay, um, by simply doing things that even you don't have to be genius. You don't have to be genius. You can what you can do. You can look at what other successful people are doing. You can just tag along and learn and duplicate. Duplicate what they're doing, and you're gonna make it. But show up and smile. Yeah, a lot of things right now, as you said, post pandemic, especially in this tough job market where it's tough job market for the employers, not the employees. It's hard to find good people. So good people can just only show up and say, "Hey, I'm here, looking for work." Most likely, you're gonna get hired on the spot. Seriously, dude. Yeah,
Well, and
but
you don't have to do it. I mean, right now, I encourage kids all the time to be like, I don't know if I could possibly, and I'm like, honestly, anything is open right now because every single
oh yeah,
employer, as you know, would hire a person if they could breathe. Um, so,
yeah,
um, I want to I want to rewind just a little bit because you said something that I think that a lot of people like. I'm not saying that you take it for granted, but you experienced it so you can kind of speak about it quickly. But for us, it drops like a bomb. And what you said was when you're in a environment or a culture or a country that the government is more restrictive, when you come to America, you have all these freedoms. Can you talk
yeah.
to us about what those restrictions were? Because I don't think that people understand the gravity and the just the simple freedom that we have here in America to do the things that like you said, you can become a millionaire, billionaire. You can you could be a thousandaire. I remember wanting to be a
Yeah.
thousandaire. That was the
Thousand
biggest
year.
thing, right?
That was
So, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get four figures. You know what I mean, Pavel? I'm
yeah.
joking with you, man. So,
No, I get it. Yeah.
but help us to understand what some of those restrictions and what was normal for you growing up.
Well, first of all, restrictions on entrepreneurship. Back in Soviet Union, obviously, you couldn't do it. If you just, let's say, take a widget, take something like, and let's say you buy a bike from the store and you want to go sell that bike to somebody else and make a little bit of profit. Well, that's called speculation. And back then, that was considered a criminal offense. You can go to prison for 3 years for doing that. Okay. So, simple thing. All right. When Soviet Union collapsed and Russia was formed as an independent country, um, even back then, yeah, you can open a business. Probably it will take longer than you would take in America. At the same time, back in the 90s, there was like Wild West back then, because again, to make it big, or to make if you're trying to make it big, or if you're trying to raise your head above the water, chances are somebody will come to you, knock on your door, and say, "Hey, you got to pay us 50% of your profit. If not, your store is going to go down in flames." That was back then. Now it's a little bit different. Now it's more of a, legalized everything. But even right now in Russia, in order to open a business, you have to go to the taxing authority and present them, show them why you deserve to have a business. Even that, just whole idea, that you have to go to the government and say, "Hey, I deserve to have a business. I want to, I want you to give me a license." When I came to the United States, I remember back then that it only took like $20 to pay the fee and open a LLC or sole proprietorship. That was just mind blowing. It's like, that's it. That's it. You're official now. You got a little piece of paper saying you're good to go. So pretty much like, sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want. You can just, with a $20 opening a fee, you can open a company and start running the company. You can open a bank account and start basically do things, legally, and without any, that was just mind blowing. Considering coming from that environment here, that was really mind blowing. To see that how easy it is to operate a business here, how easy and without much of a government intrusion to do that. Because back there, let's say if you have a store, you're gonna have fire inspectors, you're gonna have flood inspectors, you're gonna have everybody coming in, inspect your place, and ask you for bribes, ask you for anything. Here it's different story. People don't take bribes because everybody's making money. So, well, they probably do, but on a different scale.
Oh, they're taking money, all right. They are.
Yeah, they're taking money, all right, but it's called taxation.
So, Pavel, talk to us too about. I mean, you come here, you see these opportunities, right? And it's $20 for a LLC or a sole proprietorship. You're
Yeah,
like, wow,
back
this
then.
thing is pretty simple. But then you start to scale and you start to go after what you're truly passionate about, which was Virtudesk. Can you talk to some of the people out there as far as some of the challenges that you went through? Because I think more people are inspired by your challenges, the knocks on the head that you took, than the successes, than the Bentleys you're driving. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't drive a Bentley, only a Lambo. But no, well, a lot of challenges. Obviously, one of the biggest challenges working with people. You work with people, and Virtudesk is all about people. We have over 1,000 employees, and having to. I mean, when you first start out, it's actually easier because you work with only a certain group of people that you can give out tasks, and it's actually easier. Then you start to grow. That's where some challenges happen because people. You realize people have lives. People resign. People go. People die. People get sick, give birth, go vacation. So all of that obviously is it takes a little bit of challenge of I called it household items. But it's all doable again, but by building the core team first, and that's what we did. Because when we first started out, I had I think like a 3-4 employees, and I made those employees basically the managers. So, okay, now you're gonna be the managers. Okay, managers of something. We just give them titles. Okay, so that way they feel okay. And now I got to do something. I got to do something to actually, to justify that title I just got. So, um, so I guess the challenges again were in working with people and working with a core team to build out the systems based on technology, systems based on the processes that we have. So Um, now we probably about, let's say, 60% automated on stuff that we do. So it's actually way easier in essence. But again, to build this automation processes, we also build some software for the virtual assistants that they're using, the platform. We've built the tracking software, screen capturing software. So working with the developers in different countries was also a challenge. Because again, you don't know who you're going to hire. If this person is going to waste your time, I mean, okay, waste money, but basically waste your time, or they're actually going to be good. So again, that was just the biggest, and we still continue to tackle those challenges every day.
So,
You know, yeah.
Pavel, who shouldn't scale? Because I mean, in the social media world that we live in, right?
Hmm.
And with media coming out, every kid that I talk to, especially young, hard charging entrepreneurs, and I want to congratulate all of you out there who are doing that. But what I find is they get an idea, and before they put in the work, they just want to scale, and then they scale, but they scale so fast that they haven't set the core in place to be able to scale that thing, and that ends up fizzling out really quick. So give us the kind of DNA or maybe a checklist of someone who isn't really
Yeah.
ready to scale at the time.
Well, scale is a new trendy word that kids like to use without thinking much into it. Okay. First thing, like what they like to do, say, "Oh, I'm gonna build an app." Okay, build an app for what? Okay, and they think, "Oh, I'm building an app, and the app is gonna be making me a millionaire, billionaire." First, you gotta have a business, not an app. Okay, you gotta have a working business model. You gotta have something that actually monetizes, brings you cash. Okay, that's what first needs to work. Okay, not an app. People don't care about the app; they care about the business. Okay. Second, who's not ready to scale? Well, if you cannot pay yourself salary, decent salary, you're not ready to scale. Okay, you're not ready to hire other people, because when you hire other people, I mean, what is scaling? Let's just, for those kids who don't know, like to use the word scale. What is scaling? Scaling is when you create systems and hire other people to do your work. That's scaling. Okay, let's say I'm gonna hire an assistant who's gonna help me run things on the back end. That's scaling, because that takes time from me and giving it to her to do things. I have more time that way. That's scaling. Okay. When we hire somebody else, it's more scaling. So if you don't have money to pay somebody, if you don't have money to pay yourself, you shouldn't be thinking about scaling. You should be thinking of how to hustle harder and actually earn cash. Okay. Same thing goes when you are building an app, God bless you. But don't think of first thing, like a lot of entrepreneurs, what they think of, raising capital. Okay, don't. Okay, think of building a business, actual hardcore business. Okay, it may not be sexy as saying, "Oh, we've raised Series A, Series B, Series XYZ." Okay, yeah, but whenever you raise money from investors, you're not becoming rich. Okay, you are getting in debt. Your company is shrinking. Your ownership of the company is shrinking. You don't control your company 100%. That's what happens when you raise capital. You're not becoming rich, you're just becoming in debt. Okay, or your company is becoming in debt. Also, think of things such as like the burn rate. Uh, People don't realize that whenever they only hear, okay, this company raised that much capital. Okay, what's their burn rate? How much they can burn it through? How long is it going to take them to run on this cash? Because when the cash runs out, what's next? Well, things that they don't talk about it because they're not pretty, those things. So think about it. Sometimes CEOs of their own companies can be fired from their companies by investors. Okay.
Mm.
So
Pavel,
this is just a little bit of, yeah.
Pavel, do me a favor. Let's go back
Yeah.
into one word or it's a little phrase that you said that I don't think a lot of times people understand. And the reason why I say this is because I was around some financial friends of mine, really good friends, Chris Nagel, you know who you are. I was at the bar before I knew this guy. And I was sitting at the bar and I kept hearing him use a word. And I was like, wow, this dude is intelligent. Because he used this word. He kept saying arbitrage. I didn't know what arbitrage was at the time. And I remember listening to it. I was like, man, he must be the man. And then I turned around so he couldn't see me. I grabbed my phone and I Googled arbitrage. And it just said the difference between two numbers. And I was like, that's a big word for a very, very small meaning. So then I understood the vernacular and the language, and then we were able to talk. So the next time that I talked to him, I actually used that word, and he was like, he perked up like I was in his industry. So talk to us about that burn rate part, because a lot of times there are people that don't understand about raising capital, right? And Series A and Series B and even angel investing. And then understanding burn rate. Can we lock into that? And can you simplify that for us so people understand what it is?
Well, burn rate is basically, let's say you take $1 million from an investor, and it takes about 100,000 a month for your company to run. So whenever you take $1 million and it takes about 100,000 a month for your company to run, to operate, you basically have 10 months of your company left. That's what it is. That's a burn rate. Because once that $1 million runs out, at the end of the, if you're not able to be profitable, you're not going to be in a pretty position. First of all, investors, whenever they invest, they like to get their money 10x or 100x, okay, back. They don't invest to you out of the goodness of the heart, okay? So they like to see some return. So when you're not able to produce a return, when they see that you're just basically burning through cash and without any profitability, it's probably not going to be, a pretty sight, because an investor is also part owner of your company. That's what happens when you raise capital. You give equity of your company to somebody else. Okay, so that person at some point can actually start controlling your company and fire your ass. So that's happened many times in history.
And it happened to Steve Jobs. It happened.
Yeah, I was about to say, yes, Steve Jobs, exactly.
He got ousted from his own company.
Yeah, exactly. The CEO of Uber also was ousted from
Yeah.
his own company. Yeah, so
So
I forgot his name. Yeah.
talk to us too about like let's build the avatar of the person who is ready to scale and who needs this, like who need like because you have. I mean, I wish again, Pavel, and I'll say it over and over again, and as long as we're friends, which is going to be for the rest of your life, because I'm going to force that.
I love that.
Is I wish that I would have known you when I started my company. And because when I started it, like I built it with in person, right? And it was
Mhm.
great. We built it around people and things like that. But there were tasks that we could have outsourced and we could have done it so quickly and efficiently because we were a systems based, our company before we sold, we were a systems based company. Every single thing had its own system. So we
Mhm.
wanted to dumb it down. So if you were a 4-year-old and you came in, you read the procedure, you could actually do it and accomplish it. But we had to make sure that you understood why we were doing what we were doing. So
Yeah,
let's
you gotta have SOPs. Yeah, exactly.
so let's build the avatar of the person that literally will see Virtudesk as the second coming.
Okay. Well, the avatar of that person, obviously, it can be small and medium sized business owner. It can be just a solopreneur. It can be somebody who's running like a podcast like you do, or somebody running a company, let's say for any company, basically, for that matter. Probably besides like the direct service to people of it's not like a restaurant or a cafe where somebody has to be physically there. But let's say if you're running something remotely online, if you're running something where e-commerce, or again, running a podcast, running a show, uh, YouTube influencer, anything that requires um, that you can work online, you can hire a virtual assistant and scale. Okay. Also, and I keep saying it and I won't be able to say it enough, you got to have capital to actually hire people. A lot of times people think, okay, I'm just going to hire somebody without thinking that they have to pay this person. Okay. So Virtudesk maybe not an expensive option. Is, again, we are actually very competitive on pricing, so we are actually very good for small business owners to start out, to hire VAs. But you still got to be able to pay your bills. So, and I've seen people who only have $300 to their names trying to hire virtual assistants, and we don't let them do that. I said, no, this is not the right way to do it. Uh, you know, because right now you don't have money to do that. You don't have money to do that, and we don't want to have this. Don't want it to be a negative experience for anybody. So first of all, I keep saying you got to have some capital, not a lot, some capital. You got to have certain processes put in place, like standard operating procedures. You got to have when A happens, then B has to do. When B doesn't work, then goes to C. So certain like a description of what needs to be done if something happens. That's how your company runs. That's the backbone of your company. Okay, you need to have a very detailed job description of what things you like to outsource. You'll be surprised not a lot of people understand that. Okay, you need to have specific job description. How you come up with this job description? Very easy. Okay, the way I came up first, I didn't have any SOP. Okay, I sat down with a piece of paper and I wrote. I basically put a list of things I do daily for my company, for my business, things I do daily. So I broke it down into two columns, that list, and on the left column I wrote all the things that must be done, and on the right column I put all the things that can be done by somebody else. Okay, so that was a very interesting observation at first. Okay, and I figure out, okay, so basically what I just put in the list, 70% can be handled by somebody else. Okay, then I take that list, okay, of things that need can be done by somebody else, and based off that list I build a job description for somebody I'm looking to hire who will be able to do that. It's very easy. Okay, a 4-year-old can do it. So once you do that, then you can start looking for a person who's able to fulfill that role, and that's how you start to hire a virtual assistant. That's how you start to scale.
So Pavel,
Uh,
as you start to scale, because you had this idea of Virtudesk, which is phenomenal, you start to help people. It grows. You're in the the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies for 2 straight years. How are you able to keep Pavel's joy, and what brings him joy?
well, you gotta have your hobbies. You gotta basically realize that every day we live can be the last one on Earth, and basically surrounding yourself with people that enjoy, that are important to you. You know, people that are toxic, I cut them out of my life. I don't, associate with them, simply because, not because I hate them or anything. I don't. I just don't want them to be around them. That's it. Simple. Because again, we don't know how much everybody's left on this earth.
Yeah.
Okay, and every day can be the last one. Okay, so also, when you build when you build a company, you basically want to build a legacy, and in essence, you want to build a foundation, and a legacy got to have a good foundation, a
Yes.
foundation that uh, company can be operational 50 years from now, okay, 60 years from now. So for that, you got to be able to build something which is great building, which is great, where people are going to be enjoy coming to work for. So, and that's one of the core values we have at Virtudesk. We treat everybody as a family. We want to make sure that our employees are taken care of, and as they say, first take care of your employees, and the employees will take care of your customers. So
That's
that's how
amazing.
we run it, bro. Yeah.
It's amazing. So talk to us too about some of the things that you implemented in your company that don't have any ROI, because what I find is, like, I was studying Disney, right? And just watching Disney. I love Disney and I loved Apple, because Apple and Disney don't study anyone. They just do, and everybody studies them. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
things that stuck out with me with Disney was the secret Mickeys. And the secret Mickeys was something that was done just for Walt and just for the company, where he did it and he could look at it and say it didn't mean a lot to anybody else, but it meant a lot to him. And so we incorporated these things in our company, where my daughter's first song that she ever sung was "Three Little Birds" by Bob Marley. And so what we did in our locations all over the country, we put stickers of 3 little birds above every doorway to signify that when you were having a tough day, look up, see the 3 little birds, and sing in your head, every little thing is going to be all right. What were some of the, if any, and how valuable are they to you in your company?
Some things that don't produce ROI, some things
That
that
you
we
just
do.
did. Yeah, that you just did
Yeah.
because just for you.
Sure. Sure. Well, for example, like we going back to the Philippines in October, and we renting out huge resort, and we chartering a flight for all of our employees to go there. So it doesn't produce us any ROI, but it actually brings a good bonding experience for the whole company to be together, to hang out, to feel important, to actually feel appreciated. So that's some of the things we do, and that's every year in the Philippines, because that's where most of our virtual assistants are. We organized events like team building activities. We organized stay at the resort, staycation, we call them, basically throwing out great parties. And again, that doesn't produce any ROI for us, but again, it brings everybody together. Well, in essence, it does kind of produce ROI, because it actually helps with the retention of employees. So I guess everything you can tie to ROI a little bit.
So
When I
when we
talk to my tax guy, I gotta be able to do that.
So Pavel, when we hopped on, right? When we hopped on before
Yeah.
we started
Yeah.
filming, we were laughing back and forth, and you were adjusting things in the office, and you were like, I like
Yeah.
to just have certain things just to get people sometimes. Say, for instance, and I'm giving examples because, like, the shirt that I'm wearing now, this was actually my dad's shirt. My dad passed away
Love that. Yeah.
December 19th of last year. And I had the shirt made before, and it said gangster on it. And any time that he walked into a place, it would be a conversation piece. It had nothing to do with our business at all.
Of course.
But it
Yeah.
just made me laugh. And the fact that my dad would wear it, and it was like his favorite shirt, and I just was able to get it recently. Those kind of things, I mean, really impact a culture. And how important is it? when you're building a culture to not just be so strong on SOPs, because there's no way you could be in the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing company 2 years in a row and you just be about like, we've got to do it like this and like this and like this. How do you keep a personal touch when you have that many people?
Well, again, we have teams. We have broken down everybody in the teams and the clusters. So it's not. I mean, one person cannot be obviously overseeing 1,000 employees. That's why we have certain layers of of management. That kind of helps out. I mean, team clusters, they organize their own events. They organize their own uh, you know things within the cluster, certain competitions. So they maintaining that culture that goes down from the top, from the CEO, from the corporate office. So, like for example, on Friday, I know they're organizing an event for some of the clusters. They have like a talent show. So all of that is basically, you know, handled. Basically, my bottom line here is the culture goes down from the top into the employees, and if they say, oh, employees, don't employees feel like not appreciated or anything, that comes down again from the top. So that's what we trying to encourage and trying to build, and so many layers of support and so many layers of management kind of help out with that, I guess.
I think one of the most important things in a company is the way that you're talked about when you're not there. And Pavel,
Yeah,
I want to compliment you because I've talked with Sarah and I've talked about you when you're not
it's
there.
amazing. Yeah,
And she
yeah. I
talks
was
at a high, I mean,
out of the
but she,
country. Yeah,
and she speaks from her heart. And the same thing, I was just on the phone with Paige this morning from Sisu,
yeah.
and she speaks about you at the highest level. How are you able to stay so grounded when you're experiencing the type of success? Because a lot of times people get so wrapped up in the results that they forget about where they came from. And it doesn't, I mean, for me, connecting with you, it seems like you're so in touch with that and you're so in touch with the people, but it's so easy to get disconnected from it. How do you stay grounded in it, man?
Well, again, the journey is what a real success is, not the end goal. So, and that's what how we come with this mentality. Like we like doing things the way we like him to be done. So the journey actually helps us to be there. And staying grounded, again, you got to stay humble in an essence, and keep your head down and work and do the grind and connect with people on the same level. And this is basically, be who you want to be, I guess. So
Pavel,
yeah.
who keeps you humble? Who calls you? The way that I say it is, who calls you on your poo poo? You know what I'm saying? Like my wife,
Oh, my kids do.
your
My
kids
kids
do.
and my wife do.
So tell me the
Oh
last
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
Tell me
My
the last
kids do.
time they called you on
Yeah.
your poo poo. Tell me the last time.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Well, okay, my daughter is 16 and she's taking driver's license course right now. So I'm doing the it's called like a driver education dad, if you know what I'm talking about. So like for example, last time we went on a ride, she was driving, I was sitting in the front seat, and I just blew up at her because she didn't take the right route. She took the route which is more convenient to her, and I said, "No, this is like the longest one. Let's just go like shorter. There's a shortcut right there." She's like, "Dad, because you drive it every day. I don't, and why are you demanding this stuff from me?" Because I was like, and I started to realize, okay, she's just starting it out. I mean, I'm trying to enforce my thinking onto her. It's like, yeah, she just called me out on this. So
Now,
so
let me
yeah,
ask you this too, Pavel. Is your wife from
yeah,
Russia also?
yeah, yeah, she
Okay.
is. Yeah.
So did you guys meet in Russia?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Your children were raised here, or no?
Yeah, they were born and raised here. Yeah.
Okay. How is that trying to keep the culture? And how is that for you? Because you grew up in a culture in Russia, your wife did.
Yeah.
Now you're
Yeah.
in America, right?
Uh-huh.
And things are going pretty well for Pavel right now because you're building people. I'm not just saying that it's just all about Pavel, but you're building people. You've seen the success. Your kids are not growing up in the situation that you did. How do you
Yeah,
mix
they grew up
those?
to be an American. Yeah.
Yes.
So, it's interesting because again, I see that. Well, like one of the challenges sometimes to make them speak Russian with each other because they speak English with each other. So, trying to preserve that is kind of challenging, but we managed to do it. But yeah, they were not born in outside of this country. They were born here, so they growing up here. So I think it's a little bit of a obviously different, way more different than me and my wife were born into it, where it came from. So this yeah, I don't know.
What are
We're just
what are
being
some
kids
of the
now.
what are some of the
Yeah,
things that they're pushing back on you, being like, Dad, like, we don't live in Russia. And when I say this,
yeah,
I didn't grow up. I mean, I didn't grow up in another. We lived in other countries. We lived in
yeah.
England. I was born in England. We lived in Taiwan. We moved around the country. But I definitely didn't grow up in the neighborhood my kids live in now. And
Okay.
there's things that they're privy to, and there's things that are just normal to
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
So what are some of the things that your daughter is saying to you, Dad? Why are you trying to bring that old stuff on me?
Well, I'm not really trying to bring old stuff on her. She's I think because she's probably raised with, she was living in a family, so it doesn't come to her as the a surprise. She's not like it's not a foreign concept to her. What do we have going on in the family? So I guess that's part she understands. Same goes with her friends, and when her friends come over, they know me. And a funny thing, her friends call me Senor 100 Hustle. So um, yeah, her friends follow me on Instagram. It's kind of awkward. I was like, I don't want to say bad things there, you know, because because her friends, 16-year-olds, follow me as like, all right, gotta keep it cool, gotta keep it clean for the
Okay,
kids,
there we
you know what I
go.
mean?
So
Yeah. So
let me ask you this: when you experienced the type of success you had, your
yeah.
daughter's 16 years old. I mean, are you going high level vehicle, or are you trying to get her one that's maybe not as, because you want her to learn the value?
I wanted to learn the value, of course.
So what are you buying her? What are you getting her then?
Um,
Are you getting new?
no, it's gonna be used probably
It's
like
going
a
to be
Honda or
used. Okay. Is it
yeah,
going to have dents
yeah.
in it? You're going to make sure it has dents in it before
I
you get
want
it
to
for
make
her?
sure it does. Yes,
Some
I want to make sure
scratches.
it does. Yeah. Yeah, and with my son, it's a totally different story. He likes to flex. He's gonna be 13 in a couple of weeks.
What is he asking
Uh,
for? What's he asking for at 13 years old?
okay, dude, I'll tell you. Okay, that's just mind blowing. Okay, last year I was thinking of getting a G wagon. Okay, he's
Okay.
like, no, Dad, don't do a G wagon. It's not an ultimate flex. Get a Lambo, Daddy. I was like, okay, why? It's like so you can pick me up from school in it. You know. So I went ahead and got it. Okay.
Okay.
I got a Lambo, and I'm driving to school to pick up my kid from school all the time. So where everybody, including the principal, comes out and takes pictures of it, of
What
him getting into the car.
what's the what no, Pavel, what's the tough part about having a Lambo? No one talks about that side of it. You can't park at Costco. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to
Exactly.
Costco.
Exactly. No, you don't.
You can't like, you generally don't get to park in the front because you don't want people near your car. What's
Yeah.
the
Well,
downside?
well,
What's the
I mean,
downside?
the downside, of course, is maintenance of it. You cannot again, you cannot go to Costco with it.
You can't go to Jiffy Lube. You can't go to
Not
Jiffy Lube,
really.
Pavel.
No, no, you can't. So um, it's only good like for. I mean, I can take it when I go to the gym. I can take it, or when I go to pick up my kids from school or from climbing activity. He does rock climbing. My daughter does the gymnastics, and I'm the Lambo dad, so they know me there. So that's like one of those things. But again, a lot of downsides of owning one because it's an expensive equipment, and I don't call it car; it's called equipment, because and every nut out there on a freeway wants to race you. It's
What's the
just like
last one that tried to race you?
yesterday,
What
somebody,
what
some,
car came up next to you?
um, Beamer 3 Series. He
Wha-
he basically came up on me, try to race me. I was like going in my own lane, enjoying myself, and he's like, it's like 18-year-old kid trying to do it. It's like I'm like, dude, enjoy,
Yeah. So tell me,
because because it's not the fight. You're gonna win. you know?
so Pavel, you talked about earlier about some hobbies,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
what hobbies? Because I think that what I found over time is getting to be around people like yourself and the friend circles that I get a chance to be around. A lot of times people lose their joy, right? They gain the world, right? And you've heard it before, the old proverb, you gain the world and you lose your soul. And
Yeah.
it seems like you've stayed in touch with that joy part of it. But what are some of the things, what are some of your hobbies that you do that don't have any return at all, that you just do it?
I like to play chess with my son. This is one of my hobbies.
You got game?
You know, yeah,
You got game.
That's yeah.
You beat him.
Plays chess with my son. He beats me now. You know, he's good at it now. So sometimes playing video games with my son, it also gives me joy. You know, he like yesterday he called me to play some Call of Duty with him. You know, I was like, all right, I kick his ass, but he, you know, then he kicked my ass. You know, so.
Pavel, what do you do by yourself? Because, you know, I think that too much emphasis, I find this, too much emphasis a lot of times is on a person's routine, and they think if they follow that routine, they're going to get the exact same result. But what I find is that if you're not that person and you don't do it for the same reason as that person's doing the routine, then you're not going to get the same result. Does that make sense? Now, there's certain processes that you can do, say in business, that you can do, and you can the result that you'll get. But there's a lot of people that are like, wow, if I wake up early in the morning and I do a cold plunge and I do this and I do that, then I should be successful. And it's like the mentality and the mindset, like you talked about earlier.
I don't like to wake up early.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't get that part, like waking up at 5 a.m. I'm not a morning person. I mean, I can stay late at night. I can stay like until 2, 3 in the morning. That's fine, but I'm not gonna wake up at 5 a.m. I know a lot of like entrepreneurs do that thing and they advertise that shit. And no, I'm not a 5 o'clock in the morning person. I don't know why people think that's a prerequisite for success to wake up early. No, just do it on your own pace, because some people are morning people, some people are night people. I'm more of a night person. I mean, I can, stay up late at night, but waking up 8 o'clock is usually when I wake up, so.
So yeah. what's the hobbies that you do that's just you, that you get a chance to be able to almost kind of shut down, you do your thing and you go? Like, I like bowling. I love bowling by myself because I'm not in a rush. I love bowling. I want to focus. I'm not there to have fun. Like, I enjoy it, but I'm like, I want to get my score. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when I go with other people, they're throwing it in the gutter and laughing and all this stuff. And I'm like, I want to focus in. This is a real cool time for me.
I like lap pool, swimming by myself. Yeah. Just go and do it, without a phone, without a headset, only in your own thoughts, and you just go with it and do it, because think of it. We are connected to anybody with the invention of a cell phone, of a smartphone. We are connected to everybody and available to anybody anytime. If you come to think of it like 20 years ago. That was not the case. Now it's different. Okay. So and the only place where I can be without a phone pretty much like justifiably is in the pool, swimming, doing laps.
So Pavel, what would your advice to like young aspiring entrepreneurs be?
Make mistakes. Don't overthink things, and go at what you want to do. At the same time, don't let anything hold you back because you're trying to overanalyze it. Don't experience paralysis by analysis. You'll go ahead and make some mistakes, which is fine. Okay. You'll either win or you will learn. So that's it.
Pavel, give me the top stereotypes, the top Russian stereotypes that are true and then not true. Because there's some sort of truth to every single stereotype, right? And when we hear them, like, when we hear them, we're like, oh man, and it makes us laugh. When a comedian says a stereotype and we connect with it, we laugh. Yeah. We're like, oh my gosh. And then we see another one and we're like, that's not true at all. Let's start with the first one that is true.
Well, first one. Okay, why don't you tell me and I'll tell you whether it's true or not. How about that?
Don't like to have fun.
That's not true at all. Russians do like to have fun. We don't smile at people, random people.
Why is
That's
that?
that's
Tell
that's
us
true.
why. Why is that?
Yeah, we don't smile. Russian people don't smile at random people.
Why?
Okay, because we like to express our feelings genuinely, and a lot of a lot of smiles in America are fake, and we don't like that shit. So yeah.
So what is the one that is not true that you see, whether you see on movies or whatever it is? Like
Okay,
what's not true?
well, Russians drink vodka and like to dance with bears. No, not everybody. Not every Russian drinks vodka.
Okay. Hey, now
It's pretty good though, but not everybody. Not everybody likes it. Not
oh,
everybody's an alcoholic. So
Pavel, my daughter would kill me if I didn't ask this question.
yeah, go ahead.
She is a huge Stranger Things fan. Do your kids
Okay,
watch Stranger Things?
they did, but I didn't pay attention to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to watch it because
Okay.
during that time, it's set in the 80s. And in the 80s, as you know, Rocky 4, you know what was
Yeah.
going on. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
How
Of course.
how did you view Rocky 4? Were you cheering for Drago?
No, I was cheering for Rocky. He was a good guy.
How did you see it growing up in Russia? How did you see during that time
Well,
it was almost vilified?
Ivan Drago is not the stereotypical Russian. That was a totally made up thing. The people like this don't exist. Hey, that's why we're cheering for Rocky. Because people like Ivan Drago don't exist.
So on Stranger Things, the whole
Yeah.
thing wrapped around it was first it was kind of Demigorgon stuff, and I'm not that into it. I know it a little bit because my daughter, but then it's like the Russians are the bad guys. How does that,
Uh-huh.
like, when you're watching that and you're from Russia and you're in America and you're watching something that says I'm the bad guy? How does that make you feel?
I just laugh at this shit. That's it. Because it's just funny because they try because it's like show how shallow and stupid it is because they try to portray it as a bad guy because of politics. So yeah.
So no
They still try to
dancing,
portray it as the bad guys.
no dancing bears, no dancing
No, that's
bears,
fair.
and no
No.
vodka.
I mean, I wish I would. Yeah, seriously. No vodka, yeah.
My daughter's gonna be so happy, Pavel. You're gonna be new. You're gonna be Uncle Pavel, is what it's gonna
There
be.
we go. There we
Uncle
go,
Pavel.
brother.
Uncle Pavel. So
Yeah.
with Virtudesk, right?
Uh-huh.
Help me to understand how have you been able to continue to scale and continue to grow, because you guys are going to continue to grow, and then tell me about like what you see it in the future. Like what's your Star
Well,
Wars? What's your Star Wars
yeah.
now?
Well, my Star Wars again. We are exploring into different industries now because we started out with real estate. We've kind of slowly moved to also real estate, other businesses. Now we're tapping into the medical field. So the idea is basically to cover as many industries as possible and to you know make it not only Inc. 5000 but Inc. 500.
Yes. Is
That's
there
the
is
idea.
there an Inc. 50?
I don't know.
They need to make
I
it.
know there's a Fortune 500. There's
There's
one.
Fortune
So
500, so we got to need to get into
yeah,
the 50. 50.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
where Pavel's going with the.
yeah,
He's gonna
exactly.
roll the
Yeah.
Lambo up, and his daughter's gonna be following behind in the Accord that's dented. That he, you know.
Oh boy, yeah.
So Pavel, help the person. If you were in, I wouldn't say an elevator because an elevator pitch would be too quick. But to the
Yeah.
person who doesn't understand what a virtual assistant truly is, how could you explain
Okay.
that to someone who doesn't know?
Sure. Virtual assistant is somebody who works remotely. Can be either across the town, across the street, or across the world from you. Okay. Work for you, doing things that you need to be done. Delegate administrative work, executive, run things behind the scenes of your company, helping you basically be more productive and at the same time save you money because some things if you can delegate certain things to somebody for $10 an hour and you're doing those things yourself instead, you're just paying yourself $10 an hour instead of $1,000 an hour. So yeah.
Can you talk to talk to the people too, and let us know about some of the things that you see? Like when I got to spend time with Paige, who you know Paige and you love Paige, we all love
Oh yeah,
Paige.
it's
She's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah,
Sisu Agency
yeah.
on fire.
Uh-huh.
She builds. What I was saying is she builds superheroes. You know what I mean? Like, and she exposes them
Does.
to the world. When
Yeah.
she started to let me know of some of the people that I see and some of the things that I see, and she was like,
Mhm.
that thing didn't happen organically. It was put in place and it was systemized, and that was the result that they set out to get. It shocked me. Can you tell us about some of the things in business that when you look at it, it may seem like that person is doing all the stuff, but you look at it and say, I mean, I already know that there's 15 things behind that.
For example, let's take your show. Okay, you're basically talking. You got the thing going on, but I guarantee you have several assistants working for you right now, helping you run your company. Okay, it looks organic because Callie is an amazing dude. He's running his thing. He got to, say things set up. But I can guarantee somebody's editing videos, somebody's putting it together, somebody's actually helping you run it. So any company, take it like any, let's say CNN or Fox News, whatever. I don't care about your political affiliations. However, any company that's big enough have people behind it, people behind the scenes. Okay. So, for example, I really enjoy listening to Ben Shapiro. And Ben Shapiro is like one dude talking, okay? But if you listen to his podcast, at the end of the podcast, he basically names everybody who's working behind it. And there's a long list of people of working on Daily Wire. So that's basically any production you take. You cannot be one man show, meaning you can be the talking head of a show, but you cannot be the man that runs everything. It doesn't work that way because again, there's only 24 hours in a day, and we cannot buy more of it. We can just delegate it, we cannot add it more hours. And that's why for also Virtudesk, we have several. Sarah, a huge marketing department. I think she's got over 20 people working for her at the marketing department. You deal with probably Jekka, right?
And Sarah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Sarah, yeah. But again, she's got 20 people there. She's
Yeah.
got video people who doing video production, editing, creating content. We've also just hired people in Russia as well. So it's a lot of people, and it doesn't happen organically. It has to be built up.
So, Pavel, tell the people why you think, and I believe this. I'm going to say why I believe it. I believe that in the virtual assistants are the future. The reason why I say it is because it will allow you as a human being to do what you were purposed to do as opposed to doing all the stuff that takes away. And I find this with marriages. I find this in companies. I find this all over the time of place when I'm dealing with companies and I'm coaching them on culture. I'm consulting with them. I'm just like, I wish that I could free that person of all the burden and allow them to just be who they were. And I think one of the best principles for it was my dad always told me, my pops would always say, just make a bunch of friends. And when you made friends and they were good at stuff,
Yeah,
like I don't have to be Lambo Pavel because I have a friend named Lambo Pavel, right? And so
yeah. You can take it for a spin.
when Pavel is doing his thing and he's my friend and he's allowed to do that, I
Yeah,
don't have to be that. So I
yeah.
just get to be free to be myself. Can you, that's my side. That's my soapbox of why the virtual world of the virtual success and the virtual assistant doesn't have to take away your soul. You're still going to be able to
No,
deliver on a high
of
level.
course, of
But
course.
why do you think that it is the future?
Well, again, why it's the future. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at the stats. Like the outsourcing industry, the BPO industry, it's called business process outsource, is projected to grow by $500 billion. It's going to be a $500 billion industry by 2030. So, like in about 7 years, that's what's going to be almost $1 trillion industry. So think of it. And it's not only the Philippines and a lot of Fortune 500 companies outsource, to India, to the Philippines. It's not only virtual assistants. It's basically, and again, it's not exactly positions to take jobs away from Americans. It's basically positions because providing jobs to people like across the world. Because again, the arbitrage, which you call arbitrage, it's a difference in price, basically. Okay.
Absolutely.
The Yeah, like for example, when I tell people, hey, this pen, for example, costs like $5 in the United States. Okay, well, maybe less. In the Philippines, the same pen costs 50 cents. So does it start to be less of a pen because it costs less there? No, that's called arbitrage. So, um, but again, a lot of companies take advantage of it, and what used to be available to big companies, to Fortune 500 companies outsourcing, setting up call centers, like even 10 years ago. Now it's being available to Main Street guys, people in small businesses, because of the technology that we have. The bandwidth is so good that you can actually hire people across the world to work for you, pay less than you would pay somebody here, and that's how you can truly scale. You can scale because you're going to save up cash, and you can hire, instead of one people, you can hire 3 or 4 or 5 people. That's how you scale. That's how you can actually grow. That's the whole idea of it, behind it.
Well, I
Yeah.
think
So
I
it is the
think it's
future.
amazing. I think
Yeah.
it's incredible, Pavel, and I think it's incredible
Yeah.
because of I see, for those of you, a lot of times when you turn on the lights or you turn on the camera, you see somebody and they put forth the show. Now, what I want you guys to understand
Yeah.
is I deal with and spend time with people who work with Pavel, and I want you to know that what he's speaking about is the truth. This is the truth. This is the real, raw truth. This isn't like, oh, wow, we set this up and make sure that you say the right thing. I want you to know there's very few people that when you scratch the surface, then you find even better than what the surface was, and that's who you are, Pavel. And I want to congratulate you on that, man.
Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it. Yeah.
I think it's absolutely amazing, man. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this question, because we started the podcast because of my kids,
Yeah.
Maddox and McKenna.
Uh-huh.
And I
Yeah.
started because my son is 10. He's a superhero. His birthday is September 14th, so it's in a couple days.
Oh, my
And-
kid's birthday is September 13th.
Right
So,
on, right on. Well,
Yeah.
which one? The 16-year-old or the?
He's gonna be 13. Yeah.
Okay,
son.
so
Yeah.
the Lambo son.
Yeah.
My
The
son's
Lambo Dennis. Yeah.
Hey, my son is a Lambo guy too. He's a Lambo
There
guy.
we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I started the podcast because of them, because I wanted to take iconic people like yourself that are truly changing this world. And I wanted to show them that the iconic people of the world, like the Pavels, are not superheroes. They're simply human beings who have a positive attitude and a incredible work ethic. So what advice would you give to Maddox and McKenna? And if you could use both of their names, Pavel, it would be awesome.
Yeah, of course. Maddox and McKenna, my advice to you guys, listen to your dad. He's an amazing person, and I'm sure he's your best friend. He means good for you. And when he's not around, when, because time goes by, always remember your dad as being one of the best friends that you ever had in your life. So that's very important. That's what I tell my kids. Okay. Also, go for your dreams, go for your goals. It doesn't matter what people say. Don't listen to people who say, like, hey, it's not going to work, it's not going to happen. Try to do it, because again, what I say, you'll either win or you'll learn. So either way, you're winning. So always keep that attitude and stay positive. That will go a long way.
Pavel, I've never done this before because I love both my kids at the highest level, but I would love for you to tell McKenna that the Russian stereotypes of Stranger Things are not true and that you're the good guys. Can you tell her that?
Of course. McKenna, Ruskies are actually good guys. Okay, don't listen to the propaganda.
She is gonna love that. She told me the other day, Pavel. I don't know if you got to this point, but I rode her to school. She has an electric bike, and I ride my bike behind her because we're kind of getting her ready for it. But she's like, Dad, you're the only dad that's doing this. You're like the uncool babysitter dad. And I was like, that sucks. I thought I was cool, and I just realized that I wasn't. So this is gonna make me cool. That Uncle Pavel said that the Ruskies are the good guys.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now's the time, if you're listening out there, number one, I want to thank you. I want to thank every single person out there that has been riding with us, that's been watching the show. I want to thank all the sponsors. Every person who's listening to the show, you have helped us to be in the top 1% globally of all podcasts. And this is with no advertisement. This is not with any, paid marketing. This is all organic because you guys have watched and you guys have listened. I want to thank every single one of you. I want a big shout out to Agujetia Lagoon Foundation. We just raised between $125,000 and $175,000 the other night for the Agujetia Lagoon Foundation. And also, this is where I'm at. I have very few asks, but this is the ask I'm going to do. This ask is, there's going to be a link, and it's going to say McKenna's Musical. And what I want you to do is I want you to click on it, and I wanted you to donate. We are raising $32,000 for her musical, and she is going to have the baddest musical on the planet because Daddy has really cool friends. So I want to thank you so much again for riding with us, for watching. And Pavel, I'm telling you, you're better than expected. You know what I'm saying? Like it is incredible. You told me I'm not a morning person. Yes, you are, man.
I'm not.
You're incredible. I'm going to call you at 5:00 in the morning tomorrow. I'm going to call you and be like, Uncle. I'm going to be like, Uncle Pavel. Uncle Pavel, will you
get your ass out of the bed? Yeah, exactly.
I'm joking.
Maybe
with you,
at
man.
5:00 in the morning, I may not even gone to bed yet, so you may catch me. Yeah.
The hardest working man alive, and I Pavel, it has been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to force you to be my friend for the rest of your life. For those of you who haven't experienced, for those of you who haven't experienced Virtudesk, go to myvirtudesk.com. It's absolutely genius. It'll take your business to a completely different level, and the only thing that you'll be mad about is that you didn't find it earlier. So Pavel, I want to thank you again for being on the show, man. You have been absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it, brother.
You got it, and you're officially off the hot seat.
There we go.